The U.S. military is struggling to recruit the nation's next generation of service members, those from Gen Z. The Army is expected to be about 15,000 recruits short of its 2023 goal. The Navy projects it will fall 10,000 short, and the Air Force 3,000 recruits below its goal. Our next guest wrote a book on why a career in the military is not appealing to younger Americans. It's entitled, "We Don't Want You, Uncle Sam," examining the military recruiting crisis with Generation Z. Joining us now is the book's author, Matthew Weiss. He's an officer in the U.S. Marine Corps. And Joe has the first question for you, Matthew.
Matthew, thank you so much for your service. God bless you. We really appreciate it. And I appreciate you writing this book, too, because, you know, I will talk about how I don't like people in politics tearing down our military for political purposes. Other people say it's too woke, it's too this, it's too that. But you look at your book, and it's really complicated, and a lot of the challenges start with a generation. Let me just read really quickly what you said. Gen Z is the most anxious and depressed American generation as a constant influx of digital life takes its toll. Compared to boomers, Gen Z had 19% more reported loneliness. Suicide is second highest cause of death for Gen Z. So a lot of it has to do with mental health challenges?
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. And when I looked at my generation and my impetus for writing the book, I basically thought, I am Gen Z. I have to speak for my generation. We get a lot of flack from both sides of the political aisle. We get a lot of flack from our elders. Who are we is basically what I tried to sit down and initially write. And then why is Gen Z not joining? You point out mental health. That is a huge reason. We are struggling. We are the first generation that came into elementary school with social media, with iPhones, the constant pinging of likes, the social feedback of comments on Instagram, on Facebook, that causes a big mental health gap. And so as a generation, we're struggling to sort of find our identity, and to ask our generation to serve is becoming a bigger and bigger challenge. So I wrote the book, hopefully to shed light on this idea and explain ways that as a military and as a society, we can come together again, really unite as an American generation, as an American society, and encourage and promote service. So I offer a lot of solutions in the book of things that society and the military can do to really bring people together.
Matthew, good morning. I would echo Joe's sentiments. Thanks for all you've given to the country and your commitment to this cause as well. The question, though, is what changes this trajectory we're on? As we just said, and Mika just read, is that, you know, the recruitment goals are missing this year, likely by about 25% across branches outside the Marine Corps. What changes this? Because the phone's not going away. Social media is not going anywhere. The anxiety that kids feel in so many different ways, probably not going away anytime soon. So how do you reverse this trend downward in the military recruitment?
Absolutely. So that's the impetus of the thing that we're all trying to figure out. And in short, it won't be one solution, but it'll be a compilation of many. One of the big things I talk about, I like to bring the business background, bring some business principles, modern 21st century management to this old military bureaucracy. So we're no longer the World War II, 1940s era, 10 million man army. We need to modernize the way that we do things. So one very poignant example, if you want to get a job in the private sector, you get hired, you could usually start 1 or 2 weeks later. It's a pretty easy accession process. In the military, kid joins or signs up right out of high school. Sometimes it takes 3 months going through this extremely long MEPS process and some dilapidated old style health checks that really is not conducive to easy joining. It's not a frictionless experience for a modern Gen Zer. So people are turned away just in that process alone. That's one example. There's other examples of increasing performance-based pay. If you're a better squad leader, a better machine gunner than the person next to you, can you get a little bit of a bonus? Maybe not 90% of your salary, but a small 10% bonus matching sort of these civilian level incentives that Gen Z expects of their workplace. So these are a few ideas and a few areas on the requirements and perception side that we can do to really modernize the accession process and promote service among Gen Z.
So, Matthew, when did you enlist and how old were you when you enlisted? And why did you enlist?
Absolutely. It's a great question. So I commissioned as an officer just a year and a half ago. So my experience with the military is extremely fresh. My experience with recruitment is extremely fresh. And for myself, I give the reason I think that echoes a lot of Gen Z sentiments. I have internal and external reasons. So internally, like many people in the past, patriotic, wanting to serve the nation. I think all of us have that. But unique among Gen Z externally, I looked at the military as the single greatest investment in my career, right? It's the single best leadership factory that we have in this country that frankly exists in the world. And I wanted to learn how to lead. And I looked at that truly as an investment in myself. And I think a lot of Gen Zers have a very similar desire to better themselves, to find places to better themselves in a very difficult, changing world. And they need to have and be okay with saying, hey, my reason for joining is to get this benefit, or my reason for joining is to better myself in this way or that way. Even if patriotism isn't the number one reason for joining, we can still encourage people for other various reasons. A major one as well is connections, right? Gen Z struggles for connection. We are very social. Well, the military is the world's greatest physical social network that provides those key bonds and connections that you really can't get anywhere else in any other job or any other sector of society.
Well said. The book is entitled We Don't Want You, Uncle Sam, Examining the Military Recruiting Crisis with Generation Z. It's available now. U.S. Marine Corps Officer Matthew Weiss, thank you for being on today, and thank you so much for your service. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
This is a story you might have seen trending online today. Congress advancing a plan to draft women into the military. It's part of this year's National Defense Bill, and it's being met with some controversy. News Nation's Raquel Martin has both sides.
The push to include women in the draft does have bipartisan support here on Capitol Hill and will likely make it in the final draft of the plan. Congress is on the verge of making women register for the military draft.
Women have every ability as a man to serve.
The provision is part of the National Defense Bill the House passed with bipartisan support back in September. Even though the U.S. isn't currently using the draft system, the bill would require all U.S. citizens between 18 and 26 to sign up, regardless of gender identity.
And I support it being included in the final package.
But some Senate Republicans disagree.
I don't quite get it.
Senator Josh Hawley is among a group of Republicans pushing back against the measure.
I'm going to try and force a vote to return the draft to how it has been, which is that women are not drafted against their will.
Senator Tom Cotton says he wants a specific vote on the issue.
This is a serious change of military policy, and we should have a vote, and all senators should go on the record.
But not every Republican is opposed. In fact, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell has long supported drafting women. Even so, Republican pushback on this and other issues is holding the bill back.
These delays are unfortunate.
Thursday, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said the military needs the funding bill to pass.
There is no good reason to keep delaying. We should move the process forward.
For now, a vote isn't expected until after lawmakers return from Thanksgiving break. The U.S. government has not relied on the draft system since the Vietnam War.
Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to click on the red subscribe button below so you can get more of news.